Hi, I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. Is there a need for organized Forex trading rules? Do we need organization to the rules, or do we just float and play by order flow and our experience and a set of guidelines that we go by, and we're just out there yahooing through the through the Forex market? That's the situation I want to present. I mean, it's interesting because this idea was for this video was generated or has influence in my wife, because today is baking day and she's got the place. Let me show you what's going on here. This is what's happening with there's just stuff all over the place. And she says she's out walking Bo in the snow. You won't see them run by here today. They went out to a different area, walk through the woods. In about, I don't know, 18 inches of snow in the woods on the ground. So she'll be tired when she gets back. I've got French press fixing duty when she comes back, so she can have a cup of coffee. But all this stuff that's out here, this chaos, to me, is organization. Things are in the order of the way that they're going to be used. She's got a recipe out that will guide her, even though she knows how to do this particular thing. I don't know whether she's making bread or scones today, but whatever it is, it'll be good. She made a pie the other day, blueberry pie, terrific. So there's success to what she does. And she has this stuff all laid out. I'm looking at it, and it's organized. Well, to me it isn't, because it's chaos to me, because I don't know how to bake. I can cook, but baking is not my thing. But I know the organization I have to have when I cook, and it's even greater when you bake, because you can't just go, well, I'll do a little pinch of this and a little pinch of that, because in baking that doesn't work. In cooking it does. So if that's true in baking, and it's true in so many other things that we do, if you're going to fix your motorcycle engine or do some maintenance work on that, you've got to put out all the tools. You know whether you're going to have to pull the heads off and replace the gaskets. So you've got everything lined up to what you need to do, and you're organized. And so why shouldn't there be an organized Forex process to build the trading rules that we use in Forex trading? Well, obviously there should be. I'd like to present for you the stuff that I teach in my Fast Track course, which is a 6-week program. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for people who want to learn the skills necessary to replace their job income. That's a pretty tall order. You're not going to do that on a $10,000 account. You're going to have to invest significant money in order to throw out significant money. That's just a fact of life. If you would like to take a $3,000 or $4,000 account and make $20,000 a year off that, it might be possible to do that if you've got 10 years of experience or whatever. I would suggest you watch their videos and see what their organized rules and structure is, because it's probably not there. In trading, we have to be organized. And so the Fast Track program does that. It's an organized approach to learning the skills necessary in order to replace job income. But it does that by working on a $1,000 account and just establishing certain trading metrics to achieve a certain projected annual return against your basic risk, just to make things simple. And then the rules that we build in order to do that are simply reapplied with more money in the account. It makes it just really, really easy. So many times we see people that try, they're busting their ass and they're making 8, 10 pips when they trade, and then they want to make more money, but they don't realize how to do that. So you go to higher leverage, that's true, but also the thing is, if I can get 8 pips pretty consistently, I'll try to get 12 or 15. And then what are you going to need to do? You want to make more money? Oh, I got to make 25 pips now. Well, you come to a certain limiting factor of reality when you start saying, well, I need to make 50 pips a day. And that isn't 10 pips on 5 lots. It's 50 pips. Oh, people can twist the truth so much. There needs to be this organized approach. And so in Fast Track, what I talk about is the life cycle of a currency position, because that forms the framework of what you're trying to solve. Just like the recipe for whatever it is that she's baking here forms the boundary conditions of what she's going to make. She's going to make a pie, let's just say. I know she's making bread. But she's not going to make a pie, so she doesn't have pie recipes out. She's not going to make lasagna because there's no lasagna recipes out. There's a recipe out for this particular kind of bread. And so when we're looking at the financial market, our first pit stop is, oh, let's do currencies. Let's trade in the Forex market because it's a $7.6 trillion a day market. This is February of 2026, and that's what it is. And retail traders form about 5% of that volume. And I could give you a bunch of other statistics for fun, but let's get on with this thing. We've identified the Forex market. Okay, so what is that market comprised of? Currency pairs. Oh, okay, so I got to trade a currency pair. Well, what am I going to do with that currency pair? Well, I'm gonna hit bid ask, and then I'm going to close it out. Okay, that's not exactly the full life cycle of a currency position, though. In my software engineering career, we worked with a process called the Software Development Lifecycle, the SDLC, which was a complex process used to apply against really complex problems to decompose them into smaller problems to solve, and how those solutions communicated with each other. So we're going to look at in the Fast Track course, we're going to look at that life cycle of a currency position that I talk about a lot in my videos, which is entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. Those are the 3 phases that your trade will go through from open to start. But it's insufficient to say, oh, I'm going to go in to this position because I got a golden cross and confluence with an RSI. Oh, okay, great. Now you're in. And then, oh, okay, then I'm going to get out. Okay, well, exactly how are you going to get in? Why did you pick the golden cross with an RSI? Why would you do that of all the other stuff that you could do? How many lots are you going to go in with? What staging positions are you going to be using? Are you going to wait for the price to come to you, or are you going to backload on a reverse staging process? I mean, you've got all these questions just about the entry. And then when you get out, well, when are you going to get out? Are you going to get out because it's Tuesday? Are you going to get out because you made 20 pips? Are you going to get out because the NFP release numbers are about to be released, and you don't want to get whipsawed out of your position? Well, what constitutes getting out? And isn't there a wide gap between getting in and getting out? That's like saying, oh, I'm going to learn how to compete in the Olympics as a swimmer. So I got to learn that entry, getting into the water, and then I got to get out in order to get my my medal. Get my mail. Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting for an email from one of my students here as to whether he did what he was supposed to do. Hey, if you're out there, you make sure you get me that email today. Of course, this will be 3 weeks after the fact, but you'll know who you are. So it's insufficient to say, oh, I'm going to study this entry stuff, and I'm going to use these indicators and whatever, and then I'll just get out whenever I want to get out. There has to be a bridge between that, and I call that position management. Entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. Those are the 3 major phases. And there are boundary conditions between what you're supposed to be doing when you transition between the entry analysis phase into the position management. And it's not where you think it is. It's different. And where do you transition out of position management to the point where you start thinking about getting out of that position? Those are called boundary conditions, and they separate the three phases of the life cycle of a currency position. So I've got three distinct phases. There's only one way I can organize those three phases: entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. I don't have to worry about exit methodology if I don't have a good entry. And I can't have a position to manage if I don't enter. I can't get out of something that I don't have, so I have to have the position entered and I have to have position management in order to get out. So those things are in sequential order, and that's really important, because if they weren't, then of those three rules that I had, I could arrange those in, I think it's 21 different permutations, or 19. I forget what the third to three is. If you have two objects, if I had two just general A, B objects, there are 4 different permutations I could arrange those two things in. You would think there'd be only 2. I could have A and B, or I could have B and then A. That's not true. I could have A by itself. I could have B by itself. I could have AB with more emphasis on the A, or I could have BA with more emphasis on the B. So out of 2 objects, I can have 4 different permutations in them. If I had 2 objects that were sequential, there's only one way you can apply them: A and then B. So indicators are non-sequential. The RSI, the Bollinger Bands, the Golden Cross, the stochastics. You have a lot of indicators that are developed through candle patterns, like engulfing candle patterns or shooting stars or dojis and all that kind of stuff. So the more of those indicators that come into play, you have 2 indicators, you have 4 choices. You have 3 indicators, you have about 20. If you have 5 indicators, you have 325 different permutations you can put 5 things into. So it becomes just beyond comprehension in complexity. And so part of the organized approach to looking at the solution, which your rules are, is to make sure that everything that you do, everything that you're considering, is done in a sequential order, and not just, oh, it's Tuesday, so I'm going to do this, because if it was Thursday, I would do that. That simplification of a problem is to make sure that you're dealing in sequential information and not just information. And that's the problem, I think, that you find that you're having in your struggles with your trading, is that you have so much information. You think you need to learn all the books and watch all the videos and get all this stuff, and you have all this information, but you don't know how to put it into sequential order. It's just chaos. And so when you look at solving the problems of how to be a successful trader, you have to put your shit into sequential order, so that when you make an error and things go upside down for you, you can go, well, the reason it went upside down is because I was at this point in the life cycle of a currency position. Now, when I work with a student, that's the easy part. Oh, well, you did something wrong in position management because you've crossed a boundary condition between entry analysis and into position management. So we know you're in position management. So everything went to shit. Why did it go to shit? What happened? Well, let's look at the conditions that we've built together in order to identify what's going on within the position management. What are the goals? What are the problems that we may run into? Can we put those problems into some kind of sequential order, so we're just not looking at shit across the trail and trying to avoid stepping in it? Or what are we supposed to be doing here? And so by making mistakes, I'm able to go through with the student and say, well, let's look at this series of transactions. What was in your head when you did that? Let's look at the order at the chart. What was in your head when you did this? Did you go off and take a dump and just leave things to chance? What happened? So is there a need for organized Forex trading rules? Absolutely, positively, there is. Now, the question is, how do you go about doing that? You know, I went all the way back to the market itself and marched you through that market. And I explained to you where the mines were in this minefield. And that was primarily in dealing with non-sequential information. So that's the skill that I bring to the table in working with folks, because I'm a professional educator. I've been involved in the martial arts for 57 years, and I actively taught it for about 55 years. I'm still teaching and still working with students, but I don't take new students in. So I've got 55 years of educational process dealing with fear and self-defense. You know, I've got that's on that personal side of education. I got a degree in physics and almost a minor in math, so I understand the academic process of education. I was a software engineer for 33 years, as I explained, where I got my rip against the software development lifecycle and my life cycle of a currency position. And so I understand how to solve complex problems using the knowledge that I gain as an educator, because I write and I teach about it. I've written probably 4 or 5 book-length manuscripts on software engineering, object-oriented analysis and design, and blah, 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 and all that other kind of stuff. Because nobody's ever read them. I don't write for people to read. I write in order to make sure that my thought process is in sequential order in the solution of the problem that I'm talking about. And so it makes sense to me when I say, well, it makes sense to all of us to say, well, I just need to be organized in how I approach my Forex trading. But how do you do that? And when do you do that? And do you understand the problem in dealing in non-sequential information, how that could screw you up? If you'd like to chat about this stuff, I'd be happy to do that. And I always say in my videos, send me an email. I'm not trying to sell you the fast track course. If I can help you solve a problem, that's great. I'd be willing to sit down with you and say, look, you're having a problem in this area. You don't know that that's the position management area that you're in, but you are. And here's the things that you might want to look at to solve your problem. However, if you're just floating around and you have no idea, and you've taken this course and you've taken that course and you've talked to this guy and you've watched 42,000 videos, and you just don't know why it's not working for you. Well, I can probably explain to you why it's not working for you, but I can't explain to you how to fix that in maybe a 20-minute video conference. I can show you what you need to look at and to study, but if you don't know how to put all that stuff together, it's going to be difficult for you. It's not impossible. People figure this stuff out all the time. The problem with doing it that way is you have to lose so many times in order, like Jesse Livermore said, you have to lose a lot so that you can learn what not to do. And once you learn what not to do, then you can learn what to do. And that's just throwing shit against the wall. That's walking through this minefield of information and finding stuff that doesn't work because you lose your account. So you go back and say, well, what did I do when I lost the account that was wrong? And don't do that again. And you might have to do that 6 or 8 times. If you listen to some of these guys, they've lost those beginning accounts 6 times, 8 times, 10 times, tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Do you have tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to lose before you figure out how to do all this stuff? Do you need to get in your car and crash it 6 or 8 times before you learn what not to do? Why don't you go to driving school and then you solve all those problems? And so that's what a course does. And you just have to find somebody that you could trust that has a course that makes sense to you, and then you pay them whatever amount of money that you need to pay them. If you want to replace your job income, if you just want to be a hobby trader or whatever, I'm not the guy to teach you, because I don't teach hobby traders. I don't teach people that are only going to be able to have $3,000 in their account. because you're not replacing your job income. That's not the goal that you have. You're trying to take your $3,000 and make $20,000 from it, but you're not going to be able to use the same techniques and skills that you use to take the $3,000 to 20, to take the $20,000 to $60,000 or $80,000, because the math breaks down for you, and so do your emotions. And if you haven't figured that out yet, you will. So my advice to you in these videos, and I try to present advice. I'm not selling you a course. I'm not selling you on how great I am. I'm just a trader that figured out some stuff, and it makes it easy for me. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand that if you're trading currencies in order to replace your job income, then you need to make sure that your trading is organized under organized rules that are all sequential. If you're just trading small accounts, you're trying to take a $500 account and make some money with it, you got the wrong attitude, and you're not going to be able to replace your job income with the skills that you learned trading $500 or $1,000. It just isn't going to happen, because you're going to push the envelope at the wrong time, and that's not going to lead to success. So is there a need for organized Forex trading rules? Yes, there is. And the secret sauce to having organized Forex trading rules is to make sure that everything you did, that first of all, the rules are in sequential order, like my phases of the life cycle of a currency position. Each phase has a rule, right? It's a problem. Entry analysis is a problem, so it has a rule to solve it. If there were two problems involved in entry analysis, there'd be two rules. But I've simplified it, so there's one rule, one problem. So those problems need to be in sequential order, and the conditions for the rules that solve the problem, those conditions also need to be in sequential order. That's the secret. It's simple. If you can figure that out, you don't need me. But just realize, and every time you sit down to trade, you need to say there's a need for organized Forex trading rules and conditions. What I'm about to do in hitting bid ask, has that been prefaced by organized information? And is what I'm going to do after I hit bid ask, are my steps and my concerns and my logic based on sequential stuff, as opposed to, okay, I'm in, let's see what happens. You can't do it that way. Thanks for watching, and if you do have questions, send me an email. I'd be happy to chat with you. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day, and have a great trading day.